Panasonic, the heart of your system.
We're having a heated debate here in front of the BFGD. Would you or would you not pay $5,000 for a screen that basically has all the features that you possibly want? My position, truth be told, is I am not personally going to spend $5,000 on a screen, because a screen that size would basically lead to me being divorced. So that is quite straightforward. Therefore, the technical aspects I can gloss over. There is, however, no doubt it looks pretty darn good. But as to who is in the market for a screen of this size with those features at that price, niche market barely begins to describe it, but it does look pretty darn impressive. I'm Leo Walder for Kit Guru, here with Nvidia at CES. It is an absolute fact, a matter of record, that I missed Jensen Huang's keynote, which was the day before the start of CES, because I was still traveling to Las Vegas. So this is interesting because I've read what Jensen said and I've seen a whole load of products. And the message that's coming to me is that I think we've pretty much misunderstood what RTX is about. Before RTX 2060 was launched, and if I look behind me, we've got a bunch of PCs running around here which are playing games typically at 1440 resolution with RTX 2060. I think most of us expected the RTX part of the equation to be an irrelevance. I don't think that's too strong a word, because you need grunty PCs to run ray tracing, and 2060 was never going to be up to the job. And unless they've pulled a really fast one on us, this is not correct. We've seen many games playing, albeit we're looking at, move the mouse, all right, not that, bad example, move the mouse and we can run around and play games, and the frame rates look really good. And it's this adaptive nature of the ray tracing that seems to be coming forward. So we've got demo, the names of the games being above the screens, that's all fine. We move around and we've got happiness. Then we come across to the other side of the room where we've got the sort of technical demos. We're into the realms of RTX on, that sort of thing. And unfortunately, I think what's happened is some memes have arisen, whereby you look at this and you look at the shiny helmets and you think, but this is developing a technology to show a thing in its best possible light. And I hate to say this, some cynicism has crept in. And you run through these RTX, here we have RTX on. And yet, the thing that's been explained to us, and we're going to have to go back to base and play these games through again and again and again just to see how well they work, is that if you use DLSS, you get back the deficit. You can regain some of the badness done by enabling RTX. So we are being told you will get both the visual benefit and the frame rates together. And this is not what we expected, but this is what has been explained again and again. So either I've been indoctrinated or I got it wrong in the first place. And I'm genuinely interested to learn what the actual truth of the situation is. So we go through the technical demos, which all look absolutely lovely, just as you expect. Now again, here, there's Justice. This apparently is a game that's popular in China. It's a massive multiplayer game. It will get to the good bit in a moment, and then we'll see lots of shiny armor and such like. In other words, it's really showing the whole reflection thing. Oh, this is like watching paint dry. And here we go. So Reflection City, that's the point. And we're seeing something that by definition is showing reflections to their best possible advantage, and therefore we go, but this is not what you do. You don't walk around a game looking at the reflections. And yet, you see, you look at the cartoony nature of it and you look at the added reflections, and that's the thing. You look at this and your instinct is to go, yeah, but they're just making the case for ray tracing. And yet there seems to be a great deal more to it than that. And then you move over to the laptops. And this is the point. Now, these laptops, it has to be said, they've been sitting there howling away all day long. They are each of them quite noisy, but they're all quite thin and light, and they're powered by the various RTX 2070. We've also got 2080 there, and there should be a Max Q somewhere along the line, no doubt. So a variety of brands. The chassis are all familiar in terms of form factor. There's nothing extraordinary going on. They're each different in their own way. They are quite definitely noisy, but they're all capable of playing proper games. Obviously 1080 would be the preferred resolution on these screens. That Quanta is the oddball for us because it's a chassis make that isn't really in the UK at the moment. But we go along the line, and possibly the single most curious takeaway for the whole thing was the learning nature, the fact that Nvidia's servers are sitting there churning away, learning how to do ray tracing, checking out image quality. This seems to be baked into the drivers. This was the thing. So the thing is not going to be so much when the games publishers update the games, although that would be significant when games get patched. It's not to do with Microsoft. We've got the DX release, which has made the difference. It's meant that you can now do ray tracing in DirectX 12. The thing is going to be as driver updates come along for the various RTX graphics cards, and that is what we are told is going to make the big difference to how games play, how games look, and the performance of the thing. It definitely looks at the moment as though our initial skepticism about ray tracing in games may well be incorrect. There's an awful lot more to this than meets the eye. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't, well, whatever. I'm Leo Walden for Kit Guru. This is Nvidia at CES.
I want to play Forza on this. That would be awesome.
No, just do whatever you're doing. It's BFDD, BFGG.
BFGD.
BFGD. It's a, yeah, but it's a